Welcome back to another episode of Danganronpa. I'm your host, Freak, back with another video. So if you guys remember last time, last time my Vita died. Yes, I am playing on Nintendo Vita 2020. Whatever. Or I'm not sure if it'll be 2021 if this video gets out.
Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive.
Nah, he dead.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
That's the $1 million question.
Whoever did is the mastermind.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body.
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi,
Oh yeah.
then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
Bruh.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Number 1.
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then...
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi? What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Oh my god, that's you did.
One thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers.
No, that's wrong.
Alright, awesome.
The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
Alright, what was it?
But seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean. And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
Alright, bet.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used the hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not? Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person completed, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive.
Yeah, that's true.
The rule holds true.
Alright, hold up.
It is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however,
There were two
murders.
Proof I made a mistake.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one person, only the one who actually carried out, assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible.
That is.
But that only really applies in this case.
However, there were
Two murders.
Alright, there we go.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one person, only the one who actually carried out, assuming the rule.
There we go.
No, that's wrong.
I made a mistake. I swapped impossible and did 2 murders, but I made a hit.
Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering.
Ah, I got you.
Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward.
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
Ah, I got you.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2 separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because a single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan.
Alright, yeah.
And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful! How could anyone be so cruel?
Maybe we live in a cruel
You
world.
think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
Too amazing. It's almost unnatural how good
I
she is.
understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
Which one?
That's problem numero uno right
answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
Yeah, I wanted to.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi.
Yes, you did.
The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit from brain-fat, lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot!
God damn. Okay. Look at that face.
Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
I mean, I got like 4 chances to answer correctly. Screening the paper.
I got it!
Yeah, that's it.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Damn. He was like, bitch, be quiet. You don't love him? Do you like that?
Sorry.
And you said sorry too.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual.
Fuck off.
If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct?
Yes.
And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Yeah, because she did kind of throw us off. I saw a shadow. Something moving around the top of the stairs.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the 3rd floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Celeste is wrong. That is rather. It's the screen for someone. I saw him, the very costume man. He ran out at the screen. I was blocking the stairs, so he had further down into the hallway and the stairs.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
What was that? Something came from downstairs. Yeah. She's in the nurse's office. This is bad. We have to go.
It was to get us to divide into 2 groups.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Why don't we split up into 2 groups? I'll lead the hunting party. That means Morton. Very well, then Makoto, Hana, and I will come to the nurse's office. I will lead the captain suspicious individuals, Yutoko, Byakuya, etc.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor. Everything's going according to plan.
Yeah.
Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
It certainly was not expected. I did not imagine that Havoc would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait, then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What's up?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
He must really be enjoying it. You're on the sight of standing around, fighting the street. We're all gonna die here. We're gonna die. Just those guys.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room.
That's right.
Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the 4 of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Alright. Let's see what we got.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We're all going to die here. We're going to die. Just like those guys. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes. What was so
Strange about Celeste's comment?
all I said was, we must really be enjoying the sight of us. We must be positive. We're all going to die. We're going to die.
Just like
Those guys died.
And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes
To finish this, what was so
strange
About Celeste's comment.
Alright, now I got it.
all I said was, we must really be enjoying
The sight of us
standing around. We must be positive. We're all
going to die here.
We're going to die.
Just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All
I'm trying to
I
get-
said
Was, we must really be enjoying the sight of us. We must be positive. We're all going to die here. We're going to die.
There we go.
No, that's wrong.
There we go. Finally got it.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Oh, shit. That's right.
Exactly. run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So
yeah.
let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away.
It's a picture of Hifumi dragging the
I
suspect
would say
away.
it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit.
That's right.
We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Really.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
There we go.
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way! You dressed me up in
That suit after then you just
draped me across Hifumi.
You tried to make me look like a bad guy.
Like I said,
As you can see in the picture,
if the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
No, that's wrong.
That's right.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
that's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Oh, baby, that's like your color. Hold up, this might be a good time. All right, there we go.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot. What do you mean, checkmate?
Or this one.
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
What's up?
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
What do you say? Hifumi, who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed people? That's what I remember their name.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not?
Who was it? Oh.
He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro. But are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right, our last names. He called us all by our last names.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Nayagi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient
He said,
explanation?
don't talk. Don't talk.
There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal, but he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. And that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
Oh yeah, it's true.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you? Well, do I? What?
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Alright, we already got the bullet that we need.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
No, that's wrong.
You mean she's wrong? Okay. You gonna continue with he's wrong?
That's it.
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
It was absolutely valued to the Henty school life, so don't lose it. Then you start it up and it displays your name. Always make sure to have it right on. Now this is not your everyday normal handbook. It has many more uses than that.
So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Alright. Pushing. Okay, then that's all of them. So now all we gotta do is okay.
Here's exactly what happened. Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hero. The murderous duo intended to pass Hero off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit.
Alright, guess so.
Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo-Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hero. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker.
Alright, we did it.
And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes.
Alright, bet.
So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims to solidify Robo-Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo-Justice pictures they'd taken.
Get him. I'm sorry.
They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. While we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time.
Alright.
So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office.
Get him.
And once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case.
Alright, we got him. Boom. Y'all heard it.
Lost? I lost? When? Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor.
You lost.
I, Celestia Ludenberg. Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
So, you finally accepted it.
You lost.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Yeah, I still got an
Okay,
A.
Monokuma. I'm ready to begin.
Alright, girl.
Or, no. I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote, okay? Okay.
Alright.
If you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
So basically, formalities at this point, once again, you're totally correct. The black end this time, the true killer who deceived the whole skinny thing was Celestia Lullenberg, more previously, Toko Yasushiro.
Honestly,
I love what I saw. I guess trying to work with someone else was a mistake after all. Afumi's attitude was beyond my calculation.
I knew it.
You should really, so you really oppose Afumi with this plan. But how did he agree with it? I can't imagine it would happily agree. He committed murder. I'm sure she relied on her. My specialty. Oh, don't make me laugh. I didn't have to lie to him to agree.
So then,
Then you use, I used to figure it out. Yuck. Toyota. That's really right. You get her for me to act meaning of confidence.
indeed.
I used her. Chiharu was a guy, so I'm assuming Chiharu's computer was also a guy. For everyone who was still left, I avoid maintaining it by name, but it was the one thing Hafumi and Taka were both super into. She does mean I'm talking about alter ego.
Say what?
What? What are you talking about?
just a second.
Don't interrupt. We're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I totally out of the loop as usual. That's sad.
In other words,
Then you're the one.
Indeed.
That's right.
I see.
They used to drag Kafumi into the plan you come up with. Right again. Last night, after we had our meeting about how it disappeared, I think Kafumi a little bit. Oh, what are you talking about?
Actually,
I was hoping I could talk to you alone. It isn't. It is a little. It is about who was stolen. I know you did it. I know who did it. What?
are you okay with this?
It was Taka. He stole it. What?
So then,
And I have proof. Would you like to see it?
Damnation!
So it was him. How did he do it? He was supposed to be, either to kill if either of us spoke. You are correct, which is why Taka forced me to steal it. What?
As for me,
Please forgive me. He threatened me.
Oh,
Did he?
as for me,
He came to my room last night and now it's hard for me to even say. He abused me.
what?
What?
Ah,
He took pictures. If I did not do what he asked, he would show them to everyone. I had no choice. So that's a crime. An absolute crime. I mean, I know he's going a little crazy, but I never imagined he would go that far. It was amazing how completely he bought it. I can't I can't impress how enjoyable it is. I'm about to say something I never was said before in my life. I'm going to kill him. I'm gonna fucking kill him.
most unfortunate.
Wait, please, if you go down, you will be playing right in his hand. Huh?
Actually,
Taka is planning to use her to escape. If he had made you his target,
What?
escape, you don't mean. The thing about he's trying to kill you. What?
indeed.
And all he so and all so he can keep her to himself. That bastard.
Unforgivable! Completely unforgivable!
Bastard.
Honestly,
All we can do and to continue these barbaric acts. Absolutely not. How could I?
I swear I will save her!
actually,
Dan, would you like to join me? It just so happened I have to come up with a Huh? I have devised a way to reclaim what we have been stolen, escape. Dreadful still. And with that, it's complete. Huh? What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. Afumi agreed without a second thought. The effect the item he had was remarkable. The power of love, even a love as twisted as that, can still drive people mad. It was You disgust me.
I see.
Another question for you. What was that strange costume Afumi created?
indeed.
Yeah, it was real pain in the butt too. All I asked him to do was make something to hide a face Jin body used. I had no idea he would make something like that. But it's my fault for picking him in the first place.
But
So why you decided to make me a suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it.
Let's see.
In that regard, I made the right choice. I'm glad stupidity surpassed my every expectation. Life has been tough for your parents, though. I felt like I could cry. Then were you explaining your plan for me? Did explain the part of him dying? What she asking is, what if Hafun was supposed to do after that? Assuming you had actually let him live.
Are you okay with this?
That's simple. After he did his part and repaying to the dead, Once someone showed up, I would tell them to say he has been seriously wounded on the verge of death. He just barely held up. Did he really believe that? Of course. That was and where was it? Too late. As I explained to Fumi, the plan was, while you were questioning him about what that happened to him, I was about to murder someone. At that point, Fumi had an alibi. No one would doubt him. I told him that he believed it. It seems very strange, straightforward. Stereotype. I just matched the lie to the level of opponent. In fact, Fumi ate it up. I believe the lie of wholeheartedly. Right at the moment of death.
So in the end.
So you had planned to kill him all along. But of course, there would be then no point to my plan on to pretend to be dead. Did not end up dead himself.
What the heck?
How can human lives mean little to you?
Well,
That's a non-issue. I simply did everything in my power to win.
Don't be mean.
Now you sound like
I
Yakuza.
wonder about that.
No, he's a lifeless pleasure from thrill to the hunt. That effect of nothing like.
Why?
And what made you take things this far? Was you really just for money? I talking about 10 million yen, $10 million for Kuma also. That's a lot of money. Too. But that's not what it is. A few moments of our lives here began. I always thought it has been escaped. But all along you've been saying how we have to live
You
here.
little bitch.
That was absolutely a lie. Ugh.
Hey!
I couldn't take it. I hate it from day one. More than anyone else here.
You little bitch.
I wanted to get out. Every day was fresh torture. And do you want to know why, huh?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. And accepting a life here would have mean nothing less than giving up my dream forever.
Honestly.
And there's no way that I could ever do that. In the underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make metaphorical killing.
As for me,
And it was all for that dream. Oh, this dream of yours,
isn't it wonderful?
to live in a European castle. A castle. Gather a handsome man from all over the world to serve my butler/bodyguard. I'm going to make them dress like vampires and sacrifice my every need. Once I attain that, I'll create the perfect, efficient world of jealousy.
This is fine.
Living the rest of my life. Life there was my only dream, my only goal. That was all my life. Out. Combined in my own winning, more Kuma $10 million would have made the dream. I got the right to the edge, but
There is nothing to be done.
unfortunately my dream has been scattered to the wind. Still, I don't have any regrets. I pursued my dream until the very end. So why would I?
Just the worst.
You sound so passionate, but you were really about to kill your own friends for it?
Oh,
Are you asking me, do I feel guilty? That's a pointless indicator. I think nothing of sacrificing others for my own end. I feel nothing.
Do you understand?
That that's all there is to me. That's what makes me hesitate. Hmm. Isn't it terrifying how different results are? I simply have no room to understand.
What is this?
That's what I should be saying. How can you be so calm? Don't you realize you were about to die? Baby girl, don't cry. Don't feel bad now. Don't feel bad. Oh my god. Why are you screaming? My apologies a lot to unveil and to now that I just one other person, I can't even fool my own emotions. I concentrate to see unconsciousness. That's why you're not scared.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. I don't fear death. Killing me, shoot me, however you like. Oh, you know that I can recommend if I had a choice.
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I would like to go back to Mary.
Hey,
You don't just get executed again.
Thrills, chills, kills!
Okay, all done. You're all done? Okay. It look. Get rolling. The blackened deserve the peace. Must be
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment.
for her, the ultimate gambler.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way.
oh wow.
Which is why...
Alright, girl. Well, you know, too bad we
Actually,
couldn't.
it's not important. Well then, take care, everyone.
Alright, girl. Well, just say hello to the other people on the other
Perhaps we'll meet
side.
again. In another life.
Yeah, perhaps. I would have this chick gonna die. So you want to be burned to death? Really? That's how you want to live? You want to just be burned to death? And get hit by a truck too. That's how she wanted to die? Talk about messed up. It's over. The execution's over. Celestia's death is over. Celestia killed my friend, so I can't pity her, but I can't deny that at one point I consider her a friend too. And for him, just to go along. It's just awful. Someone could cut free their regret for the outside world, and more people had to die.
Extreme!
You guys still young. You need more place of value in your
What are
life.
you gonna do?
And geez, yeah, I thought you guys were going to pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
How could I care about hope? I'll throw it in the trash if I could just let me out of here.
Too bad.
Here are the eponymous of hope, whether you like it or not. And my destiny is to not look down one by one. It's sad. It's sad. Yes, it is. That's reality. Just can't avoid. Don't talk like you're not responsible. How long are you gonna make us keep throwing this? Keep going through this? What do you want from us? God, I'm sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko, did I see you get some kind of key type?
Hey!
What's the deal with that?
What?
What's the matter?
So then,
Answer your question, if you don't mind.
you...
What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
Hey,
Answer me.